This week on Clip Service, we're going to talk about how the Clippers completed the Texas trifecta, the second game against the Spurs. Clippers come out with a win. Unfortunately, take a loss to the Pelicans following that, but then bounce back in a big way against the Mavs. Plus, we're going to talk a little bit about the games coming up in what is going to be a very busy week for Clipper Nation. All that and more coming up. And without further ado, let's make it happen.
What's up, Clip Service Podcast? You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Deezer, Amazon Music, and YouTube. You can also find us on Twitter, Clip Service Pod, at Clip Service Pod. I'm Rolla,
Yes,
and
you
this is
can.
my co-host, Nick. Let's get right into it.
Let's do
Nick,
it,
take us
Rolla.
away.
First of all, Rolla, how you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing good, man. Happy Thanksgiving. Hope you had a good
Happy
one.
belated Thanksgiving to everybody. Hope you guys had a bunch of turkey or, vegan options if that's your thing. Hope you guys
Some
drank some
cheese,
refreshing drinks, alcoholic or otherwise.
a Coke, a Diet Coke.
Hopefully you guys had a couple Diet Cokes. Speaking of which, let's get this thing
Yeah,
started,
pop
huh?
that bad boy.
Yeah, that's the stuff right there. Okay. So yeah, a lot to talk about. I think the first of which would be a pretty good win. I mean, for the most part, we did fall apart a little bit in the fourth, but ended up getting the win. Um, the whole Popovich thing, Pop taking the mic from the stadium announcer and telling him to stop booing, was kind of an
Uh-huh.
interesting game all around. But Rolla, you want to talk about that? Did you watch that game, Rolla? First things first.
No, so I didn't get a chance to watch this game. To be
Oh,
honest
okay.
with you, I was
Well, let,
confused on both Spurs games. But I did see Pop. Saw the highlights like everyone else. Saw Pop take the mic and basically tell all of the fans that were booing Kawhi Leonard to stop booing them and to show some class.
Stop with the booing. Something along
Um,
the line of what he said.
I'll say this on that front before we get into the statistics, how the players did.
We got a hot take, huh?
Um, no, not really a hot take.
Mm.
This is just something I'm a big fan of First Take and Stephen A. Smith. But I'll say
I
this
don't like
first.
I don't
I'll
like where this
say
is going.
you better like it. I'll say
Okay.
this first. Um, Spurs fans should not be booing Kawhi Leonard at any point in time
Oh, I agree with that.
of any lifetime. This man won them. What was it? Two championships. They
Yes.
should be thankful and grateful of this man because, as a Clipper fan with Kawhi Leonard, I would love to see him win a singular championship for us, let alone two.
Let's go
So
for three.
let's go for
Also,
three.
wait. No, Kawhi.
Ac-
What do you? Kawhi only won.
He won
Kawhi only
three.
won one with the Spurs.
He won one.
He only won one, dude. You had me believe in the Mandela effect. You had me thinking that
He
they
has
won
three
two. No,
chips,
no, no,
doesn't he?
no.
Kawhi has
2014.
one chip, two chips.
Yeah, excuse me. 2014 for the Spurs. 2019 for the Toronto Rappies. Yeah. So
Oh,
Rolla
that's
had it
crazy.
all wrong all along.
All right. Well, either way, I would love to
Sorry.
see Kawhi win one singular chip for us,
Yes.
let alone anything else. Just
Yeah.
one. So for them to boo him is kind of wild to me.
I agree.
Um,
But
he
but
won. He got two
go ahead.
defensive players of the years on the Spurs, right?
Absolutely.
Okay,
I
gotcha.
think. Connor, our producer,
Yeah,
can you do
Connor.
some
Yeah,
research on
look that
that?
up. Look that up.
I'm pretty sure about that. Guys, we're the
Okay.
worst basketball fans in the world.
Well, I'll say this. They should not be booing him. They have no reason to. He won them a chip. That's all they deserve. That's all a fan base should want from a player, from a star player. He wasn't even the star, but from a player on your team, you should want them to win at least one, right?
Of course.
Um, that aside, my man Stephen A. Smith, please, promote the podcast, support a brother. Um, Stephen A. Smith mentioned that at the end of the day, these are paying customers. They being booed is part of the game. It's part of having a home court advantage. So if fans feel that they should boo a player of another team, and that could potentially allow him to miss shots or you know not be on his game or be off his game, they are fully entitled to that. For the coach to go out of his way and tell the fans who paid their hard-earned money not to boo again, which is part of home court advantage, which is part of the game, which is all these players should be expecting to be booed at some, if they're playing well, they're going to be booed, right?
So wait, are
So,
you? So you're contradicting yourself?
no, I'm just saying, no, I'm not contradicting myself. I'm saying the fans have a right to boo. The coach of the team should not
I
be going
see.
out of his way to tell them not to boo because
I see.
why
But
would
it's
they boo?
Greg Popovich. He's old. He's
Yeah, but the thing is,
old
it's
and
like,
he's
but
cute.
the thing is like who cares, right? If this was a playoff matchup, would they be cheering for Kawhi? No, they'd be
They
booing him.
should be.
So it's
Fuck it.
part
You
of
know
home
what?
court
Let's
advantage.
let's start a trend where you cheer for the opposing team's star player and
Yeah,
just
that sounds like a
confuse everybody.
fantastic time.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's in a playoff matchup against the Lakers. Let's see if Nick roots for LeBron James or Anthony
Oh no.
Davis.
If worst comes to worst, I could root for LeBron James because he's LeBron James, and I love me some Bron. You get me having to cheer on Devin Booker,
Absolutely not.
maybe even Luka Doncic. I just can't do it. I wouldn't be able to do it.
No, no, me neither.
You know what I mean?
Me neither.
But yeah, so basically, I agree. I agree that I think the fans. I thought that the sentiment was dope. I thought that it was. I think it was kind of a way for Pop to be like, kind of like you said, this guy won us a championship.
Hmm.
According to our producer Connor, two defensive player of the years with San Antonio. So he did a lot for that organization. Obviously,
Wait,
kind
named
of.
MVP.
Yeah, I think Connor messed up, and
Yeah, Connor, I'm gonna need you to
Connor's
clear that
trying
bad
to
boy
give us
out.
some info and confused us. Anyway, yeah, two defensive player of the years. Definitely helped transition from like the end of the Duncan period to like the current iteration of the Spurs. Like, definitely gave them a lot. So I think that Pop was like trying to make sure that the fans were like cognizant of that. I get that, but to your point as well, I don't think that like fans should necessarily have to be quiet, especially when it comes to. I mean, obviously, if fans are out here saying ignorant shit, and which plenty do.
Hmm.
Shouts out to the Utah Jazz. But yeah, so that'll happen, and I think that's where you draw the line. But if it's just a matter of booing the opposing player, I think fans do have the right. But I think there's two sides to that. I saw what Pop was doing, and it's like I said, it's Greg Popovich. Everything that he does at this point is kind of a novelty, and I'm just gonna shake my head and say, "Good job, Pop. Like, you do
Yeah, I'm
your
not gonna
thing.
do that.
You do your
But
thing."
yeah,
But yeah,
let's go over the game really
I was
quick.
gonna say, yeah. Speaking of Kawhi Leonard, that Clippers led for most of the game. The Spurs definitely made it interesting. Jeremy Sohan and Devin Vassell made it very interesting in the fourth. The score shows it was a little bit closer than it probably was. I think we kind of let our bench ride out the fourth, but the final score was 109 to 102. And I think to me the biggest takeaway now that we're talking about Kawhi Leonard is I think this was the first game of the season where Kawhi Leonard really looked like his dominant self. 10 of 17, 2 for 6 from three, hit all four of his free throws, 26 points total. Had a couple steals,
Oh,
chipped
dude,
in
I
with four
definitely watched this
assists,
game.
4 rebounds. He and I think that you know what happens a lot of the time when when a team when a player plays their former team and the crowd gets into it. Is he definitely played some inspired basketball in the second half and really kind of took over. His shot was looking pretty crisp. He looked good, and Paul George helped out with 24 points, 8 rebounds, which was big, 2 steals. The Clippers set the tone pretty much the whole way through. Like I said, Jeremy Sohan hit a couple surprising threes in the fourth. Um, you know, I think it was Devin Vassell made it a little interesting down the stretch, hit a couple big shots, but for the most part, the Clippers had control of this one. Um, I kind of liked what I saw from a few people that I wasn't expecting. One of which being Amir Coffey. Amir Coffey, we
Mhm.
had a coffee sighting in this one, and I think he played most of, if not all, the fourth, and played. I think I don't know if they brought him in. When was it, the second quarter or the third quarter? But he played spot minutes here and there. I think he ended up totaling only 10 minutes. So actually not all of the fourth, but definitely played a little bit more the second half. And he did coffee things, diving on the ball. Diving on the floor for loose balls, hitting a couple of set shots. Played some really good defense. I think he had like an outlet pass for a transition layup. I can't remember who it was for, but I liked what I saw from Amir. And um, like I've said before, I'm kind of on the fence about PJ Tucker. I like having him on the team, just if for nothing else, but like a veteran presence and showing the young guys how to play defense and locking guys up here and there, being a stopper. But I think that we need to kind of incorporate some of our other guys to take some of PJ's minutes, because
But
he's
he
kind
he
of
had the
been at
second
what.
most plus minus on the team.
Yeah, I mean that's true, but
I
I
mean,
don't know. Plus,
even though he has 0 points and 1 rebound and 1 turnover, it's, I mean, it
that
may
sounds like
seem,
shit, Rolla. I'm gonna be
it
honest.
sounds like shit, but I mean, the team is doing well with him on the court.
No, no, I like I said, I like having PJ Tucker in there every once in a while. He gets some big stops. He actually had a really good game against the Pelicans, I think, even though we ended up losing that, which we'll talk about in a bit. But yeah, I don't know. I just think that Amir deserves a little bit of time, and I think honestly, give Kobe Brown a couple minutes. I think that like the four spot, particularly off the bench, is kind of up for grabs. And it showed, like, the minutes that Coffee had in that game against the Spurs. It showed that he can be ready when he's called upon. And you don't need to play him a ton of minutes, but I think that he just offers us something that PJ doesn't, particularly like youth, like the fresher legs, youth. He's at this point he's a better shooter than PJ Tucker is, particularly from behind the arc. PJ's been pretty cold from his usual spots. But yeah,
Hmm.
I liked what I saw from Amir. Um, and let's see who else chipped in.
I,
Zeus play. Or
I
sorry,
don't
go
think
ahead.
I don't think PJ Tucker is, well. I guess we got to look at the remaining games, but it doesn't seem. Well, I'm just looking at the box score, but it doesn't seem like he's taken up too many minutes. He only played 13 minutes and is a +9.
Yeah,
I think Daniel Tice had a good game. He had 11 boards. Um,
yeah. Tice
but
has been
I think
great. That's another thing.
we gotta take a minute to talk about, the stars Kawhi and Paul George. 24 points from Paul George, 3 assists, 8 boards. 26 points from Kawhi, 4 assists, 4 boards. And that's what we need from our stars to win games like these. Um, we have no business losing games to the San Antonio Spurs.
The sports.
So to see this, from our team in general, James Harden with 16 points, 9 assists. That's exactly the
Yeah, nine
stat
assists was
line
big.
I'm expecting from someone, with the role that James Harden has on this team.
Hmm.
Kawhi and Paul George need to be our main scorers. Obviously, James Harden needs to be our facilitator. Terrence Mann needs to be our defensive presence and our energy.
Hmm.
And Zubac needs to be off the team.
Well, okay. So first of all, I'm gonna piggyback off that real quick, and then we'll move on to the next game. Uh, but first of all, yeah, I agree. With what you were saying about Tice. I liked what I saw from Tice. 11 rebounds, 8 points, a +12, and the plus minus. I've really liked what I
Mhm.
saw from Daniel Tice, and I think that honestly, it's helped Zoo because that was going to be the thing I was going to touch on next. Is Zoo's play the last like 3 games? I'm obviously when Zoo's playing bad, I'm hard on him because I know that, like I say all the time, with Zoo, a lot of it for me, my frustrations are the way that he approaches the game, the way that he carries himself on the court, which is something that you can change pretty easily. I mean, obviously, I'm not an NBA player. I can't speak to how easy things are, but as far as like making adjustments, adjusting your attitude and adjusting the way that you approach the game is probably the easiest thing that you can do. And I think that like having Tice the last couple of games, aside from him playing really well. I think that it's elevated Zoo's game a little bit because it's allowed him to stay engaged. Like, okay, I have someone that's putting up good numbers behind me. So I got to make sure that I match that output, or maybe I'll be replaced in the start. I don't think Tice is ever going to replace Zoo in the starting lineup, but I think that it allows Zoo to think about something. And to me, to be honest, I've really loved what I've seen from Zoo the last like 3 games. I think that he's looked really good. He's looked more sharp on the glass. He's been able to, like, he's always been a good defender in the paint, but he's been able to do that at a consistent level as far as I'm concerned. So I liked what I saw from Zoo this game. 12 points, 8 rebounds. He was a
I
minus
mean,
4, but
I will say this, kind of piggybacking off your point.
piggyback,
Uh,
baby.
I think that Zoo is, I think he's a very average NBA player, as in like he's not amazing, he's not good, but he's not bad.
Yeah.
I think when he's on his game, he plays his role very well. But I think when everyone elevates their game, that he doesn't elevate his game to the same level. I think we see Daniel Tice come in, and I think we see someone who is significantly shorter make more of an impact on a team than Zoo currently is. Even though you say that we see that Zoo had a statistically decent game, I think when you actually look at the impact, I don't think Zoo has that impact that you'd want from a starting center personally.
Yeah, I think statistically is it's less to me about the box score with what I've seen from Zoo lately. It's been just the way that he's approaching the game. Like it's night and day
Yeah,
to
but
me.
any NBA player can approach the game 2 3 games.
But
They play 80, but they play 82 games in a year, dude. Any of these are professional players that have been playing basketball their entire lives. Of course, they can elevate their game for 2 weeks. You know, it's at the end of the day, can you elevate your game in the playoffs? Can you elevate your game when it matters most? Can you elevate your game in the last 2 minutes of the game to win the game for your teammates? And I
yeah,
don't think he provides that for us most of the time.
I think right now we just got to take the small victories, and I think my small victory
No,
is that Zoo's been playing
absolutely.
well, and
That's
we've
what.
been
No,
winning
honestly, Nick.
games. We've
Honestly,
been
Nick,
winning
that's the worst
games.
mindset you could have said. That's literally
We've
the
been a
worst
win.
thing you could have said. As a Clipper fan, we don't want the small victories. We want the big victory. We want the
Small
big one.
victories lead to these wins that'll help us in the
Absolutely
standings,
not.
though.
I don't have that mindset personally.
Okay.
But
Okay.
you
All
go
right,
on, go
hot
on, go on,
shot.
go on.
Okay.
No, no,
The
no,
last thing
no,
that
no. I'm trying to see a chip. That's it. I'm trying to
you
see a
don't
chip.
think I am?
I've lived 27 years, Nick. I want one chip, please. I
I've
don't
lived
want to hear any
27 and
small
a couple
victories,
more
bro. I'm
months.
gonna be
Actually,
real.
no, we have
If
very
Zubac
close.
doesn't give us the big victory, then I don't want him on the team, dude. That's it.
Yeah, well, we'll
But
cross that bridge when we get there.
don't no. Yeah, you
I already
triggered me a
told
little
you.
bit with that one,
I already
bro.
told you in my hot take, shot take a couple episodes ago that Zoo's probably going to get traded. I'm not saying that I
Yeah,
want it to happen,
that'll be
but
best
we
case.
already.
That'll be best
So
case.
yeah, so Rola's loving that.
Yeah,
The
you
last thing that I
triggered me a
want to
little
touch
bit,
about,
bro.
the last thing I want to touch on this game was Russell Westbrook. I think it was a little bit of I think he was forcing it a little bit on offense, which was a little bit frustrating throughout the game. But I did like what I saw from his peripheral stats. He had 6 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals, and 8 points. He did have 4 turnovers and 4 fouls, but I think that this game showed that Russ doesn't necessarily need to, and particularly because he's coming off the bench, it's just a better fit for him with this particular group that we have. He's finding ways to contribute, and that was something that I was kind of worried about. Not because I think that Russ is a bad player, but I think that like Russ is very much like a rhythm guy, and he feeds off of the crowd and stuff like that. So I thought that it might have been a bigger adjustment for him to be coming off the bench. But he's looked like he's understood, like, okay, I need to chip in on the boards, or I need to chip in other ways, and I think that he's really done that. This game wasn't like a perfect example of that, but I think that he kind of showed that he can do a little bit other than score coming off the bench, and I think it was big for us. So that's pretty much all I have for that game. I think we should probably move on to the Pelicans game, which
Mm-hmm.
resulted in an unfortunate loss. The Pelicans always seem to give us trouble. This was a game that we could have won, but we ended up losing 116-106 at home. Zion Williamson feasted, had 32 points, looked really, really good out there. Had a couple of big boards, big plays down the stretch. Used, every square inch of that size that he has to rip the ball out of James Harden, rip the ball out of James Harden's hand down the stretch off a rebound and get a big bucket, get a big putback. And it was little plays like that. Brandon Ingram also, who is another guy that tends to kill us when we play them. Brandon Ingram chipped in with 30 points, 5 assists, 5 assists, 4 rebounds. Both of those two looked really good, and Herb Jones hit some timely shots. They didn't have Trey Murphy. Obviously, he's been out for a little while. Trey Murphy is usually the third guy that ends up. It's either Trey Murphy or Valanciunas that ended up hitting big buckets down the stretch, momentum shifting buckets down the stretch on us. But that night it was Herb Jones. Herb Jones is obviously an incredible defender, but he had it going behind the arc against us. He was only 2 for 2, but they were two very big threes that kind of shifted the momentum. And I think that he helped them go on like an 11-0 run or something, 9-0 run. Did you watch this one, right, Rolla? Or are you just a
Yeah.
fake fan?
No, I watched a little bit of the last game. It was that last game was before Drinksgiving, so you know what I'm saying I was a little
Yeah,
buzzed,
you're
one
yeah
might
you're
say.
feeling yourself, huh?
Yeah, no, I saw the game, and I think we generally have issues against players that have those strong, aggressive type players like Zion Williamson.
Yeah.
And like you say, we always have issues with Brandon Ingram. I think Brandon Ingram just hates us personally, and he just always goes off against us. He
I think
usually,
Brandon Ingram's just like that, dude. Like he really is. His mid range is improved like
oh, he's the
significant.
he's a fantastic player. I'm not saying anything, but about him, bad about him. But I just think specifically against us, he always goes off. But it is what it is. Zion Williamson had a great game. Brandon Ingram had a great game. But like I always say, I expect more from Kawhi. He went 1 of 7 from three, and although
Yeah.
his field goal percent, well, he was 8 of 17 from the field, but I felt like he was missing a lot. Like it just felt like he was missing a lot more than it appears
The shots
on
were
the
really
box score.
flat.
They were very
Uh,
flat. He just seemed to not have his stroke down.
yeah. That's
But
something I want to touch on in a little bit too, but continue.
okay, yeah. I mean, great game from Paul George. 4 of 12
PG's
from
been
three.
PG's
Um,
been great.
he's just been a fantastic player the past couple games. I think he had that one game. I forgot which game it was where he didn't play up to par. But other than that, he's been fantastic. I feel like the rest of the team kind of has to just pick up the slack. I would expect more, like I said, from Kawhi to pick more of that slack up. James Harden with 8 points is completely unacceptable.
Yeah.
But he did have 10 assists, so I'll give him the pass there. He's supposed to be the facilitator.
Yeah.
Russell Westbrook had a really bad game, and I think you mentioned this from when we were just covering the last game. I feel like he's been having a little bit of an issue coming off the bench. He hasn't really felt the flow of the bench unit.
Yeah.
He didn't have. I mean, we didn't play him too many minutes, but I think in the minutes that we were playing him, he kind of was. I don't want to say letting us down, but he didn't really have that large of an impact that I felt like he should be having coming off the bench. And I feel like we saw that from Norman Powell more than we should be seeing that from Russell Westbrook. But I don't know if you do. You have anything to say on this game?
Yeah, I do. Actually, I think I honestly think that I got the last two, or the Pelicans and the Spurs game, crossed a little bit. I think this was the game that I really saw Russ trying to
Yeah,
force the issue a little bit. You know, he's 1 for 8, 0 for 3 from three, uh, 1 for 2 from the free throw line. Only had 3 points, and his peripherals weren't great. Um, this was the game where I actually did think that Russ was forcing things a little bit too much. The game prior, I didn't think that too much, and like I said, I think I got everything crossed up a little bit. But
mm,
yeah, Russ was forcing it a little bit. Thankfully, Norman Powell has been probably our best catch and shoot, and maybe even just 3 point shooter in general in this recent stretch. He chipped in with 20 off the bench. Looked really good. 3 for 5 from three, 8 for 14 from the field. Um, can't really say enough about what Norm's been giving us. Yeah, I think I agree with you that Kawhi Leonard's shots been a little bit flat. You know, he only scored 20 points. I personally think, and we can touch on it later too, but I think that Kawhi probably needs a game of rest, just because
yeah.
the shots that he's missing. You know, he doesn't have a lot of arc on his jumpers to begin with, but just from what I've seen, um, the shots look like those of somebody that's got some tired legs.
But can I
Um,
ask you this?
I don't know. Can you?
Um, why in the hell would we be giving our star player a game of rest? This is a professional athlete, professional basketball player. A game of rest 14 games into the season. Please answer me
Well,
that.
well, listen to this. Something that you touched on in one of the other shows
Oh
prior
yeah.
is I think that there's a chance that he might still be. I don't necessarily think that he's injured still, but I think that there's a
Hmm.
chance that he might still be recovering from the injury that he suffered in the playoffs last year. You know, it takes guys a long time to come back from stuff like that. And while I understand that it wasn't like a severe injury, and a lot of the procedure that he got, a lot of the reason why, or the big reason why he got that, was to clean things up more so than repair. Um, I think there's a chance that he needs, you know, him. Another thing to note, I think, that a lot of people aren't talking about, which is just hilarious to me, is PG and Kawhi have played every single game so far this season. While that doesn't seem like a big deal to Clipper fans, with the injury history that we had, with the load management, with the wonky rest schedules that we've had the last couple of years, I think that is a huge deal. And I think that Kawhi deserves a little bit of leeway, particularly because he's not as far removed from an injury as you know, he would be later on in the season. I think that maybe give him the next back to back, let him sit or something like that. Have Russ, um, well, I was going to say have Russ start, but you don't want to have Russ and Harden start together.
Absolutely
Um,
not.
yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't mind seeing him rest and just see how he feels with that. Just because there does look like some either fatigue or just some, not a setback, but uh, you know, something to do with the fact that he's coming off of an injury. I wouldn't mind seeing that
Personally,
personally.
ooh, jinx.
Jinx, huh?
Personally, I wouldn't want to see him. If he's out, I would rather him be out for like a month. I'd rather be him be out for
Where's the logic
extended
in
period.
that?
No, I'd rather him be out for an extended period of time and come back 100%, or not, or play. Like I don't.
That
I'm
seems
not
unfair.
about this. You know, taking a day off and coming back 80%. I'd rather him come back 100%.
Have you ever
Paul
called out of
George?
work sick, Rolla, in your entire life?
No, dude. I don't
Never.
get paid millions of dollars, so that's the difference between me
Have
and
you ever
Kawhi.
taken a sick day, or have you ever just
No,
called in and
yeah,
say, "Hey, you know
bro.
what?
If
I'm
you,
not feeling it today. I'm
bro,
tired."
Nick, pay me $30 million in a year. I promise you, I won't miss a single day. I'll be there
Even the day after New Year's
with my
Eve.
biggest grin, dude. I'll be
Even the
smiling.
even the day after New Year's Eve, you're
I'll be
going out.
turned up,
You're
bro.
having a
I'll be
couple gin and
smiling,
tonics.
dude. The way I would be balling every single day, dude. Going
You'd be
home to my
showing up to work
mansion,
with a
bro.
shiny
Yeah,
silver lunch
don't let me
pail.
don't let's not get started on that one, bro.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
I'd be ecstatic. I wouldn't miss a single day. I wouldn't miss a
Okay.
single day.
Okay.
Unless I wasn't 100%. If I'm
Someone
like,
let's start a GoFundMe for Rolla. Throw this dude a couple $1 million and let's
oh,
put this thing to the test.
please God,
Let's get it going. We're gonna
show
drop
me,
a GoFundMe.
dude, show me just $1 million and pay for my
Cash
surgery to
in
get my knees
pennies.
fixed like Kawhi's. I'm playing every single day. I promise you.
Yeah.
But I will say this. Um, like I said, I would rather have Kawhi. Not if he's not 100%, I don't want to see him on the court. Paul George has been able, and he's shown that he's able to carry this team for an extended period of time when
Hmm.
Kawhi isn't there. And we have players like Norm to step up. We have players like Russ that will step up and carry the load while Kawhi is recovering. I don't like seeing Kawhi kind of. I don't want to say half-ass, but I don't like seeing him not himself. And I don't think one day of rest or one game is going to fix that. You know what I mean? It's either he comes back and he balls out and he leads us into the playoffs, or, you know, I just would rather not see a half-ass effort from him. But
No,
like I
that
said, Paul George has been balling, so I don't really see a reason why he wouldn't take that option if it that opportunity if it came to him. So I guess that's just like a coaching point,
no, it's a
you know.
legitimate gripe, and I think that like that's where you and I kind of differ. So I'm whether it's a wise decision or not. I have like a stupid amount of confidence in Kawhi as a playoff performer to the point where as long as there's no worry about him having like a severe injury, I'm okay with him sitting a couple games here and there, particularly now that we have the lineup that we do, if it means that we can just get him in the playoffs. Because and I
But we
can't
do
say that
that
about
every
most.
year, dude.
No, I know, but I don't know. Particularly for this instance, because I think that he doesn't necessarily look injured, but his shots look flat, and I think that if
But
if
what
one
happened
if
to let's
one
take
game
the
of
regular
rest,
season seriously?
we have been they've played everybody's played for the most part since the season started, and I think if one game of rest is all we need to kind of get Kawhi uh, get Kawhi some rest, particularly with a crazy schedule coming up, and get him some more juice in those legs, get him some more lift on those shots. I'm okay with it, because I think that
Mm.
I'm a big I'm like I said, I'm a firm believer in Kawhi as a postseason performer, and I think that if we have to do what we have to do within reason to make sure that that happens. Not even necessarily to manage an injury, but just to make sure that he looks fresh come playoff time. Um, then I'm okay with it. The results are what matter to me more than the process.
But I feel like we've been having that mindset for the past couple of years. We've been having that mindset since like 2020,
I,
dude.
I get it. I get it.
Because I think we have to go through the process. That was the whole argument between like us and the Lakers in 2020 when they were playing every single game and we were managing Kawhi and Paul George. The process, I think, is what gets us there.
Yeah,
The team needs to be able to flow well together. But I think that if the team doesn't see a fully loaded Kawhi, that they're not going to be able, and we're not. I feel like if we have a fully loaded Kawhi giving us, I mean, giving us 25 plus every single game, giving us 6 assists and 7, 8 boards, right? Is that really asking too much of your number one superstar? I feel like it's not. And if you ask, that of LeBron James, why couldn't you ask that of Kevin Durant? Why couldn't you ask that of Kawhi Leonard? Is he not on that level of those superstars? They asked that of Steph Curry and he gives that to them. So for me, it's like we can't speak on Kawhi's name at the same level of those other players without having those same expectations. And if he can't give us those expectations, then he needs to be on that bench, dude. Rest. Why are we taking one game off? He needs to be actually resting so he can give that to us. And that's what I feel like we deserve as Clipper fans. That's why he's on the team, honestly.
that's a mic drop, and that is
I'm
a mic
telling you,
drop.
bro.
No, I don't. Yeah, I think as long as there's a happy medium, because I do agree that the process needs to be there as far as like making sure that everybody takes the regular season seriously. But I don't think that resting every once in a while, because plenty of players do it. Kevin Durant does it.
Hmm.
Steph Curry does it. There are plenty of players that sit out for rest, particularly on the ends of back to backs. I think as long as we keep it within reason, I don't give a shit as long as Kawhi's going to be healthy, because Kawhi's that guy in the playoffs. I think he did, if not still does, have the highest playoff winning percentage or win percentage, or I don't know if it's regular season win percentage, but the dude wins games when he's healthy. So
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, Clipper fans, tell us what you think. Maybe in the comments section. I think that this is obviously a pretty polarizing topic, and there's not really any wrong answer. I think there's just kind of speculation, and everything's kind of subjective. So if you'd like to, let us know in the comment section what you think. But I think that we're going to go ahead and take it to a higher note, and we're going to talk about the 107-88 win over the Mavericks last night. Was it last night? When the
It
fuck was
was
that game?
on Saturday.
Yes. Okay. Yes. That was a great game. I think that was probably the
Hmm.
best one of the season. Um, Obviously, Luka wasn't playing well. I think he had something going on with his wrist or his thumb or something on his hand. He had his hand all bandaged up.
He
And the
still dropped
Mavericks just
30.
and he still dropped 30. I mean, Luka's like that. Mavericks didn't play a great game, but I truly think, because that was a game where I watched front to back. I truly think that the Clippers defense, that was the most crisp and staunch that the Clippers defense has looked all
Holy
season. And
shit.
the defense hasn't been as big of an issue as the offense to me for the Clippers, but this was the best that I think I've seen our defense. I mean,
Before you
holding
get
them.
into this really quick, can you just give Terrence Mann some praise really
Of course,
fast?
dude. Of course.
Because what
I'm
a
always gonna
fucking
get to.
game, dude.
Yeah, it was Terrence's best game of the season by far. Kind of given a little bit more of a role on offense. He's getting more touches, um, and ended up finishing the game with 17 points, plus 19 in the plus minus. Didn't do as many of the peripheral things like rebounds and assists as he has been, but didn't matter because he was chipping in on the offensive end. And I
Hmm.
think the rebounds that he did secure were big ones, momentum shifting rebounds. Him and Russ, man, as far as our backcourt guys go, those dudes were crashing the glass like crazy. I loved what I saw from both of those guys on the glass. And, like I said, they were big rebounds. They were momentum shifting rebounds. And that was kind of the theme of this game to me is we had an answer for everything that the Mavs threw out. Like I said,
Hmm.
they had a bad game. The Mavericks had a bad game, plain and simple. But there were points
I think
where
they had a bad game, but I think we also forced a bad game from them.
exactly, exactly. I think that that's something that shouldn't go unmentioned. I think that a lot. I heard a lot of people talking on Twitter or X. Oh, like the Clippers are doing a victory lap because the Mavericks had a bad game and they ended up winning. But I think that there was a reason for that. I think the Clippers had an answer for everything that the Mavericks threw out.
Hmm.
We were leading for the most part. Sorry, I have something playing in my headphones. I think that the Mavericks ended up trying to give us their best punch to end the third. Even though the score was 62-79, which is absurd to have a team score 62 points at the end of a third. Kyrie ended up finishing that third quarter with a buzzer beater three to cut the lead to 17, and then Kyrie ended up cutting the lead to 14 right out of the just to start the fourth. And Hardaway got a couple shots off, cut the lead to 13. It was kind of a back and forth affair, but we ended up putting our foot on their necks and putting them
Hmm.
away. We had an answer to just about everything they threw out, and I think that was the most important thing for me, and that's why this was the best game of the season to me. Was we didn't let them get into rhythm, and like I think I touched on it. This was when you were having technical difficulties, but I think I touched on it last show where the Clippers have a tendency to kind of let Luka do his thing and just shut down everybody else, or vice versa, let everybody else do their thing but shut down Luka. The first option is probably a little easier just because Luka is such an unstoppable force that sometimes there's nothing you can do. So if he's in that groove, you just got to make sure nobody else gets involved. And Kyrie had some big plays, like I said, cut the lead down. Um, you know, uh, cut it into 13 or 14 sometime beginning of the fourth, but we just had a way to shut everything else down. The Mavs looked really discombobulated throughout that third and fourth quarter. They looked kind of like they were trying to grasp at straws to fabricate any sort of offense. It looked really good, and I think that started with Terrence Mann. Terrence Mann, like you said, really set the tone. Terrence Mann and Russ looked really, really good. Russ ended up having 14, 7 assists, 8 rebounds. He chipped in on the glass in a big way. So did Terrence Mann. I liked what I saw from Harden. 7 assists. He only had 8 points, but he looked really comfortable out there.
Mm-hmm.
Paul George with 25. Kawhi was horrible offensively this
Horrible.
game, which is I'm not going to beat a dead horse here.
But it's
he
plus
has been,
minus.
but exactly he was a dog on defense. He looked engaged, and we put them away. So we didn't have to go out there and expect 30 from him this game. Norman Powell
I
chipped
did.
in per usual, had a perfect game from the floor in 25 minutes, 15 points, 3 for 3 from three, 4 for 4 from the field, 4 for 4 from the free throw line. Norm has been great,
Tearing it.
and I actually have another hot take that we can get to after this
Sweet.
about Norman Powell. But yeah, Rolla, what is your takeaway from this game other than the fact that it was pretty fucking awesome to see?
Yeah, I loved what I saw from Terrence Mann. What I saw from Terrence Mann is what I have been expecting to see from Kawhi. Terrence Mann has been having a pretty poor out offensively outing the past couple games that he's been back, and he took this game to kind of show that he's not just some dude that's basically to show he's not PJ Tucker. He's not some dude that just stands in the corner and maybe scores 2 or 3 points every game. No, he can pour on some points when he gets the chance. He has the
Yeah.
energy and he can ball handle and he can get he's kind of that scrappy player that gets those little points here and there. Um, the game from Kawhi, yes, his plus minus was plus 24, but 8 points from your superstar is unbelievable to me. I think this
But
is the
we
second.
won, Rolo.
I
We
think this is the second
won.
time we've played. What has it been? We've played 15 games at this point, and this is the second time he scored under 10 points. That is crazy to me. Like I said, if he is not 100% healthy, he needs to be sitting down. I'm sorry, 8 points is not enough for me. Yes, we won by what, 20? What? How much did we win? Yes, we won by double digits. Yes, he got plus 24 in his plus minus. Yes, he was impactful on defense. Yes, he did the intangibles, but that's not what we pay him for. You know, what we pay him for is to give us what Paul George has been giving us the entire season. We need
Paul George has had a
25
couple
plus from
stinkers early in the season. We were shitting on him early on.
Paul George.
Yeah, we were.
Okay,
We
sure.
weren't shitting on him, but we were giving him a little slap on
Because
the
that's
wrist and
that's what we
saying, "Paul,
expect
you
from
can do
people like
better."
at that level. That's what we expect from people at that level. Kawhi can't be
Yeah.
giving us 8 points because think about it. If someone
What if we win though?
like if someone like
I
Steph
want to
Curry,
win.
if someone like Steph Curry was giving 8 points, what would we be saying? If someone like Kevin Durant was giving them 8 points, what would we be saying? We can't talk about Kawhi like he's on that level if he's giving us 8 points. I'm sorry.
He's in a
Sure, they can
slump.
say the plus minus was fire, sure, whatever.
He's
But
in a
that's
slump.
it's completely unacceptable. He needs to be sitting down, or
He's in a
at
slump,
home.
bro. He's in a
At,
slump. All I'm gonna say is if
yes.
Steph Curry gives you 8, but Kevon Looney gives you 17,
When
and
was the
and the,
last
and the
time Steph
Warriors get a
Curry has
19,
ever scored less than 10 points? When was the last time Steph Curry's in 29 minutes?
hey
When is the
Siri, when was
last
the
time
last
Steph
time
Curry's?
that
It's probably like his rookie season, bro. Come on, that's crazy. That's crazy, and it's just sad to see personally. From my expectation from the Clippers is that we win a championship this year, right? Because we have the pieces. We have two potentially, like especially Kawhi in the playoffs. We have
yeah,
two potentially top five, top 10 players on our team. We should be in that conversation. We have James Harden, who some people say he's trash in the playoffs. Other people say he can rise up. But
He can get
My
that
expectation
rise
from
on.
this Clippers team is a championship or bust. You know,
Oh wow.
we have all the pieces.
Our producer Connor is hitting us with the heat. To answer your question,
What did
Rolla,
Connor
Steph
say?
Curry scored 3 points against the Celtics in 2022. That was a year ago.
How many minutes did he play?
Don't you know?
Yeah,
Nope. You don't need
research
to
that,
go into the
boy.
details, bro.
Research
Connor's
that.
got my back.
Connor,
Connor
type it
has
in.
got my back.
Connor, type it in. How many minutes did he play? I promise you, it wasn't more than 20. He probably got injured, but
The best producer in the game, Connor Bell, always has my back.
he played 14 minutes.
Anyway,
He played
14 minutes
14 minutes.
because
He probably got
he only
injured.
scored 3 points.
He probably got
That's
injured.
what. Yeah,
Anyways,
listen.
it's whatever. We
Sorry.
won. This
Exactly. We
this will
won.
be the second time Kawhi scored less than 10 points. I don't want to see this ever again for the rest of the season unless he is legitimately injured. I don't want to see this again from our number one option. That's all I got to say on that.
Oh my God. All right. Well, the Clippers
Let's
take
move
a
on.
giant win against the Mavericks, but Kawhi Leonard only scores 8 points, and Rolla is ready to give up on being a Clipper fan. Fans, tell us what you think about this in the
No, I just
comments
have high
below.
expectations. Is that so crazy of me? I get it. We haven't
No,
won a
no.
chip, so a lot of
I
Clipper
got you.
fans
No,
think that that
listen,
mediocre is the standard. No, I
listen,
got I
bro.
got high standards for this Clipper team, bro.
All right, listen,
I really
guys.
do.
I got high expectations too. Maybe even higher than Rolla's. Okay,
Maybe,
you heard
dude.
it here
Maybe you gotta
first.
talk. Maybe you gotta be
But
harder, bro. Maybe you gotta
no,
be
no, no,
harder
no.
on these players,
But
bro.
this is the
You
regular
can't let him. You
season.
can't let him
We're
get away with this every
This
time,
is the
every
regular
year,
season, bro.
every
This is the
year, Nick.
But okay,
Every
so here,
year.
let me pose this. Let me pose this to you. Let me pose
God,
this
dude,
to
it
you.
sucks, Nick. Every
As long as
year.
as long as it's
God
a regular
damn,
season
bro.
game, dude. As long as it's a regular season game, I think that this is actually a testament to how our team can complement each other in a way that leads to winning basketball. Okay, so you have to sometimes expect that some of our star players are going to score well below their averages, right? Um,
I don't have. I
this
don't
show
expect that.
this shows with the fact that we have four Hall of Famers, future Hall of Famers on our team, and some really good guys coming off the bench on our team, or in Terrence Mann's case, starting. One of those guys isn't even getting playing time, Bones Highland, which I kind of want to talk about later too.
Ooh, out of the
But
rotation.
we have the guys to be able to chip in. We're a lot deeper than I think that we gave ourselves credit for after this trade. We're just a different kind of depth. But I think that this game showed that if one of our stars does something that stars do sometimes and score well below their averages, who is going to step up? How are they going to do it? And is it going to lead to a win? And the answer to those questions is Terrence Mann stepped up.
Mm-hmm.
How is he going to do
Every
it?
time.
By crashing the glass, getting putbacks, scoring in transition, getting those tough baskets. And did it lead to a win? Absolutely. 107-88 over the Dallas Mavericks. The Clippers, I think, lead the league in defense since Terrence Mann has been inserted into the starting lineup. Our offense has looked
That's
good.
because he's him.
I think we might still be leading the league in steals. This shows to me that our team understands when they see one of their stars struggling, or when they see one of the guys ahead of them in the pecking order starting. We have guys that know this is what I got to do to step up. And Terrence and Russ, and I'm pretty sure Daniel Tice too. Let's see, what did Daniel Tice end up scoring? Only five
He had
points,
5 points.
in 16 minutes. But we have, basically, bottom line is we have guys that recognize when to step up and how to do it and how to attack mismatches. One thing that I loved about Russ this game was in the fourth quarter when the Mavs were running out of options. Jason Kidd decided, okay, let's go ahead and hide Luka, who is probably the team's or the starting lineup's worst defender.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go ahead and hide Luka on Russell Westbrook because we don't think he's going to shoot this or that. It's probably the easiest, quote unquote, the easiest guy to guard in the starting or on the lineup that was on the floor. And what did Russ do? Russ attacked Luka 3 times in a row, scored a bucket the first time, went to the free throw line the second time, and on the third play got an and one, and then pointed at Luka and told everybody to go at him. I think that is what you need to do
That
when
was
you see
fire.
that everybody else, or not everybody else, but you see that guys like Kawhi Leonard are struggling. You need to step up and attack mismatches, and that's exactly what Russ did. Terrence Mann was a monster on the glass. I mean, he only
Hmm.
had 3 rebounds, but I think all of those rebounds resulted in some either a score by him or an assist to somebody else who scored. Um, Basically, bottom line is our guys stepped up, found a way to step up, and we got the win. And I think during the regular season, that builds character for a team. And I think that is less about the guy scoring 8 points and more about the guys chipping in to score 17 and chipping into almost average, or not average, but almost put up a triple double. And to me, that's more important as long as it results in the win. And it definitely did this time around. That's my soapbox that I'm stepping off
Wait,
of.
I just got one comment. Will it always result in the win?
No.
But more likely than not,
Yes, it
we
should.
need the stars to step up.
Of course, of course. If this becomes a pattern, we can address this. It's been a couple games. Like I said, I think that there's a chance that maybe Kawhi needs one game of rest. We'll see what it does for him. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. Bottom line, the Clippers end up improving to, I think, what is it, 7-8.
7 and
We're
8.
almost at 500, which is a very low bar. But we had that slump where we lost six in
One.
a row, and this,
Mm-hmm.
to me, splitting the back to back. I would have loved to win against the Pelicans, but splitting the back to back, improving as a team. Guys are chipping in. James Harden, to me, looks more comfortable with each game. He's getting his swagger back. I think he's not necessarily putting up the points, but he's scoring off the dribble. He's getting guys involved. He just looks more confident out there. Um, that Mavericks game showed that Russ can be a factor off the bench. This was really good, and it's a step in the right direction. Clippers improved to 7-8. We're almost at 500, and I think the next thing that we should be talking about is actually some news that we just got a couple hours ago. For those of you that don't know, we're recording this at 5:30 on the 27th, Monday the 27th. We play the Nuggets tonight at 7:30, and according to what I saw on Twitter a couple hours ago, the Nuggets will be without Nikola Jokic, Aaron Gordon, and Jamal Murray, which is about as close to
Devastating.
let's fucking try and get this win as we can.
Yeah,
So
I'll say this right now. If we don't win, I might pop a vein in the
yeah,
next
yeah, yeah.
episode.
Yeah, Roll's about to lose some
My
blood,
head might blow off.
Clippers. So yeah, let's try and get this win. I think obviously this is a must-win game just because of who the Nuggets are missing, how much the Nuggets give us trouble, particularly the 3 guys that are out tonight.
Hmm.
So I don't know. What do the Clippers need to do well tonight, Rolla, to try and secure a dub and win 2 more in a row after taking a win against the Mavs?
Um, to be honest with you, I think we just got to play our game. Coming off this game against the Mavs, I think we need, as a team, I think we need to play literally exactly the same. If we put up the same effort the way we did against the Mavs, we blow this Nuggets team out in
Yeah,
2 quarters, 3 quarters. I shouldn't be seeing Paul George on the floor in that fourth quarter. It should be an easy matchup for us. They don't have, obviously, the reigning Finals MVP Nikola Jokic on the floor.
yeah.
They don't have the GOAT Jamal Murray on the floor, and they don't have Aaron Gordon. And those are their, you know, top 3 players. Those are their top 3 playmakers, and those are their top 3, uh, effort setters, or I guess
The
I should
leaders.
say
They're the leaders on the floor for sure.
they're the leaders on the floor. So I think that the Clippers have no business being in a game that is even close. But I
I don't
mean,
know, man.
knowing
Reggie
how we
Jackson, dog. They still got
oh
they
Reggie
still got our
Jackson is
boy Action
Reggie
Jackson
Jackson is
on.
the homie. He's shout out Reggie Jackson.
Shout out Reggie
Uh,
Jackson.
but
My goodness, I love that guy.
I love Reggie Jackson. But let's be honest, if that man is matched up against Paul George, Shouldn't have
We've
more than
seen
6, 7 points
if
max.
all I gotta say is if we see Reggie Jackson start skipping across the floor like he did right before he sauced on Austin Reeves and hit the game winner over the Lakers last season or whenever that was season before,
That was against the
um,
Lakers, I think.
if we see Reggie Jackson start skipping across half court, throw everybody on the floor at him, pentuple team him, make sure that he gets the ball out of his hands because when Reggie Jackson starts to skipping,
Yeah, we might see
guys
50
started
from Reggie
tripping.
tonight, bro.
When I see what?
We might see 50 from Reggie if we see him skipping across that court, bro.
Yeah, exactly, dude. So I think, it's crazy to say, but I think that the Clippers, one of the things that the Clippers need to do is cut the head off this version of the Nugget snake and try and stop Reggie Jackson. Never did I think that that would be a thing that I would say in 2023, but I think that he's going to be where their bread is buttered tonight. He's still, I mean, he's getting older. He's a little past his prime, but he's still a great basketball player. And Reggie can score off the dribble, and we've seen it before. When Reggie gets it going, he can. There's no shot that he doesn't want to take. So
Mm,
I think that you got to try and contain him and make sure that he doesn't start skipping. It's the skipping, man. That's what you got to watch out for. I think
yeah,
bottom
he's a
line.
baller. He's just a
Yeah.
baller at the end of the day.
He is, dude. We love Reggie. But yeah, obviously the three guys that are out are a big factor to this. But the Nuggets are second in the league in assists per game, and I think they're somewhere around eighth in defense. So I think that we got to make sure that we can try and maybe bait them into some ISO play, make sure that they're not zipping that ball around because they do have guys like Christian Brown and um, KCP and some of their auxiliary guys, can step up, and they've shown that they can step up in a big way. So make sure that ball doesn't go zipping around and finding open guys because those guys can knock down shots and those guys can make plays. Obviously, like I said, they don't have Nikola Jokic running the show, so that really helps us a lot. But I think that as long as we kind of contain the ball and make sure that we don't give them any life, I think that is always going to be my point of emphasis when we're playing a team either that is less talented than us or that has a lot more injuries than us. Don't give guys in the NBA any confidence because these are NBA players at the end of the day, and they will torch you if they feel like they can. So, Roy, you have anything else for this game?
No, no. I don't have anything else. This should be an easy win, honestly. I
Should
got
be.
nothing to say. But I mean, if we lose, I'll have a lot to say next week.
Yeah, and we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But some other things that we wanted to touch on, we do have a pretty packed schedule coming up. So, like we said, today at 7:30, or tonight at 7:30, we play the Denver Nuggets, a crippled Denver Nuggets team, and then we go on to play Sacramento in Sacramento on Wednesday, which is the first night of a back-to-back. Then we go ahead and play the Golden State Warriors in Golden State, and then that brings us back to Staples Center, Crypto Arena, on Saturday to play the Golden State Warriors again. That's a fucking weird schedule. Golden State twice.
Yeah.
And then we end up playing Sacramento again next Tuesday, which we'll talk about on next week's show. But so Sacramento on Wednesday in Sacramento. What's one thing that we got to do to keep Sacramento, in check? Because they're playing
Uh,
really good basketball too. Obviously, they were, I think, the historically good, if not the best offense historically last year. Mike Brown has those guys running a really
fine.
crisp offense, so I don't think they're at that level just yet this season. But what's one thing that we got to do to prepare for the Kings on Wednesday, Roy?
I think we really got to just dial in on Darren Fox. I think he's the motor to that team. Is he playing? He's
I
playing
believe
that.
so. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, he's playing.
I think he's the motor to that team. Obviously they're a really good team all around, but I think if we have really good perimeter defenders and we have really good guard defenders, and I think we have to lock in on him to,
Yeah.
like you say, to cut the head off of the snake.
Yes.
Um, because I think once he gets going, everyone else gets going, else gets motivated. So I think that's just got to be our first plan of action. What about
Do
you?
you do you think that any of our stars sit for? Because this will be the first game of a back to back. We play the Golden State Warriors the following day. Um, what do you think? Do you think that anybody sits this game, or you think we run it out? I mean, like I said,
Um,
both of our
is
stars have.
Draymond? Do you know if Draymond Green is going to be back by the Golden State game?
What he got suspended 5 games?
Yeah.
That's a really good question.
If
I don't
he's
know if
if he's still out, I think that would probably be the Golden State game would probably be our best chance. Like I think the Golden State game would be an easier matchup for us
so.
if
You think
Draymond
rest
Green.
guys that game, if it
Yeah,
comes down to it,
I think so. I would not like to see either of our stars rested on either game.
in a perfect world,
But
yes.
yeah, if I had to choose, I would say the Golden State Warriors game if Draymond Green is injured, or not.
Yeah,
Sorry, not injured. Is if he's missing that game.
yeah, I agree. Yeah, to touch on the Kings really quick. Yeah, I think I agree with you. Making sure that we stop De'Aaron Fox and then Sabonis. Try to keep Sabonis off the glass. I think Zoo's going to have to be pretty big that game. Sabonis. He can get it going. On both ends of the floor. He's obviously a
Hmm.
better scorer than he is a defender. But just keeping him off the glass and making sure that Malik Monk, who always seems to torch us, make sure that he doesn't really get involved. Malik Monk's another one of those guys that if you get him feeling like he can shoot every shot that he wants to take, then he will. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, as far as Golden State goes, I agree. If anybody sits uh, between those two games, I would like it to be Golden State. They are, I think we have the same record, 8-9. They're 13th in the league in points per game. They're looking pretty good as far as rebounds go. Fifth in the league in rebounds. I think a big part of that is Kevon Looney, like one of the most underrated offensive rebounders in the game.
hmm
That dude does everything that he's asked. That's asked of him. Keeping him and some of their other guys, depending on if Draymond Green plays, keeping everybody off the glass is going to be big that game. Obviously, keeping Steph in check the best that you can. Um, I don't know if this is a hot take, but I think that Golden State's, they added Chris Paul. I think Chris Paul is still coming off the bench, but
yeah,
I think that they got worse this year,
I agree.
um, particularly because I hate to say it, but I think Klay Thompson's cooked. I think losing,
Cooked.
I think he's cooked. Yeah.
Ha.
Um,
Okay.
Yeah, I think he's cooked. He can still contribute, particularly if he's getting wide open shots. But so far, from what I've seen this season, he's not really hitting all of his wide open shots and his shot selection. Man, I forget who they were
Oh yeah,
playing.
that's his shot selection has been crazy.
I forgot who they were playing, but he took some insane jumpers when the game was on the line.
Hmm.
Um, and I think they ended up losing that game. I can't remember who they were playing, but yeah, and I think that basically replacing Jordan Poole with Chris Paul. I'm not a big Jordan Poole fan at all. I think that he's a fun player to watch, but I don't like the way that I don't like his lack
He's a
of
champion.
discipline. He's what?
He's a champion.
He is. He is. But and he's very good. Jordan Poole is a very good, very talented scorer. I don't like the way that he approaches the game in terms of like a lack of discipline. I think he has a little bit too casual of a mindset a lot of the times, more often than not, and I think that's being maximized with a Wizards team that is only has 2 wins, I think, this
Emphasized.
season. Yes, emphasized. Um, but yeah, I think that they got a little older. Some of their guys are a little over the hill. I think that we can beat Golden State whether or not we rest one of our guys or not. Obviously, in a perfect world, I love to see that everybody play every night. But yeah, I agree. I think that the name of the game for Golden State is going to be keeping Wiggins and keeping Looney off the glass. And we've showed that we're a really good defensive team, particularly now that we have Terrence Mann in the starting lineup. So just play physical, play tough. And I
Hmm.
think that I would love to see Bones maybe get some run this game. I think that we need to try and win the youth battle this game, particularly with an older team like Golden State, and just kind of get an injection of youth into that game. And we play them the day after we play the Kings, and then we play them again at home. And obviously, I think it's about this. It's the same game plan.
Yeah.
Um, so well, I want to say that we could go undefeated in this stretch. I keep saying that, and it's never true. So, Rolla, what's your prediction? I want to hear your prediction for the next 4 games coming up, including
I
this
think
Denver game tonight.
I think we best case, I think we go 3-1, and
Okay.
worst case, I think it'll be we split it 2-2.
Who do you think we lose to if we go 3-1?
Um, I think we lose to the Kings once.
Okay.
I think we could potentially beat the, like you said. Well, I don't think Clay's cooked. I wouldn't use that word, but I
Okay.
think Clay's off his game currently,
Hmm.
and I think the team is
Kind of like
at a.
Kawhi Leonard, right? Just off his game.
I've literally never ever heard anyone mention Clay Thompson's name in the same breath as Kevin Durant and LeBron James and
I
Steph
said
Curry.
Kawhi Leonard. I said Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, I just hold Kawhi to another standard because he's actually been the first option and led a team to a championship before,
Yeah,
unlike Clay Thompson.
I got you.
But I will say, um, yeah, I just think that the Golden State Warriors are not at their full form currently,
Okay.
and I think that we can take advantage of that.
I agree.
Although I think the Kings, like you said, the youth battle, I think the Kings are just younger. I think they're going to have a little bit more energy than we are,
Hmm.
and I think if we
In
lose,
Sacramento too. That's a tough building to
yeah,
play in.
I think we'll lose one game against them. What about you? What you
I think we
thinking?
go three. I think we go 3-1. We come up short in one of the games against Golden State. I think it
Interesting.
might be. Honestly, it might be the second night of a back to back. We'll see. I think that's a game we can certainly win. I would love to see it, but I think if we're gonna lose, if we're gonna go 3-1 and we do lose one game, I think it's gonna be to the Golden State Warriors. It is hard to beat a team twice in a row, particularly one that's spearheaded by Steph Curry. Um, so yeah, I think that's my prediction. Connor takes some notes. We'll see who ends up winning this prediction battle.
Hmm.
And I think the last thing that I want to touch on real quick is a quick hot take shot take. I don't have any liquor on me right now, but I'm going to take a sip of this Diet Coke.
Okay.
This one's going to be more. This one's going to be more of a question to you, Rolla.
All right.
So my hot take shot take is should this is not really even a hot take shot take. Should Norman Powell, with the way that he's been playing on a on a he's been on a tear, offensively particularly.
Hmm.
Um, we have a guy named Bones Highland who's not getting any playing time. You can't really play Bones Highland and Norman Powell together. We have too
Okay.
many guards. So, do you think the Clippers should take advantage of Norman Powell's, hot streak and I guess redundancy because, and I'm not saying that I want this to happen, but redundancy because we have so many guards. Do you think the Clippers should take advantage of that and find a trade suitor for Norman Powell, maybe in a package to try and get either a more athletic young four or someone? I know a guy that I've always been interested in was I really like Sadiq Bey. I think we could do better than that. But someone like that, an energetic forward that can hit threes, can rebound, got good size. What do you
I
think?
wouldn't be mad at it. Um, I personally, and I love Norm,
I do
and I
too.
think he's a great player. But I personally think a lot of these players on our team are very replaceable. There are a lot of guys.
Particularly,
Well, yeah,
I was gonna say particularly now that we have a lot of guards, I think that they're
yeah. I
replaceable.
think there are a lot of players in the league that can score.
Hmm.
That's kind of, I don't want to say that's all Norm gives us, but that's kind of mainly what he gives us. And um, I think he can be replaced. I think
By
we can get
Bones, I think.
yeah, I think Bones can replace him in that scoring category. I think we would just have to give that role to Bones and make sure he knows that that's his role rather than,
Right.
because he was trying to get on his like passing game more. But if
Hmm.
we tell him like, no, your role is to score on our bench, I think he can give that to us,
Yeah.
and I think we can find a trade suitor for Norm. But you know that's obviously out of our hands.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be mad if we kept Norm on the Clippers.
Yeah. No, I agree. I'm not saying that I think that it should happen. I was just thinking, like I was saying that I wanted to do earlier, I kind of wanted to talk about Bones real quick before we leave.
Mm.
Um, I think that a guy like Bones, particularly how good he was playing in preseason and early on in the season, it sucks to see a guy like that get a DMP CD. And I agree, or not agree, but I understand why um, Ty is kind of going with Norm over Bones right now, and why he can't play Russ, Norm, Bones together on the floor, because the three guard lineup of those guys would be fucking atrocious. Um, but I I don't know. It's tough because obviously I would love to see Norm, especially if he continues playing at this level. I would love to see him stay on the team. He's got that SoCal connection too. It just fits the narrative. But I can't help but kind of want to. I do want to see Bones play, particularly because he's younger. I think that his ceiling hasn't been reached yet, and I think the only guy that we can kind of either cut back minutes from or trade would be Norm, and I think that he has the highest trade value. The only downside, really, at this point, with how good Norm's been playing, is I think he still has 2 more years on his contract, and it's not a small contract. So if
Mm.
anybody's willing to take on that contract to have like a volume scorer either off the bench or in the starting lineup, I think that some teams would pick up the phone on that. So yeah, Clipper Nation, what do you think? Let us know in the comments below if the Clippers do make a trade to try and maximize the depth that they have, make sure that guys get playing time. Tell us what you think that should be, or if you agree with Rolla and I on maybe shopping Norman Powell around. Let us know what you think. So, yeah, Rolla, did you have any other closing statements before we get out of here and hopefully watch the Clippers beat a handicapped Denver Nuggets team?
No, I don't got anything else to say. Just would like to see a couple wins from the boys move going forward.
Yeah,
Um,
build
yeah,
good
that's
habits
really it.
and continue this streak. I think that's going to be the name of the game. I think overall, there's really not a whole lot of nitpicking besides maybe uh, some worry with Kawhi Leonard's offense. There's really not much to nitpick about this recent stretch of games. I like what I'm seeing. I think things make a little bit more sense now that we added Vanilla Tice, and now that Russell Westbrook is coming off the bench. Um,
Mm.
things are kind of starting to gel a little bit. I've really liked what I've seen for the most part. So hopefully we can continue that. And we do have a brutal week coming up. So if we can escape that with a 3-1 record, like Rolla and I said, then I think that we would both be
That's
very
great.
happy. So yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We have been the Clip Service Pod. You can find us here. You can listen to this pod on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Deezer, Google Podcasts. I think I don't know where we are anymore.
Amazon
YouTube,
Music.
Amazon Music. We are on Amazon Music, YouTube, and then you can get at us on Twitter at Clip Service Pod. Give us a shout out. Let us know what you think of the show. Give us a 5-star review anywhere you can. All the support means a ton, guys. We thank you so much, and we hope for some continued productive play from the Clippers. Thank you guys so much, and go Clips.
Thank you guys. Go Clips.